Is that the same?
No.
It's not, is it?
I just said we do more right than we do wrong.
Yeah, that'll do. By 1%.
I don't know whether 1%. You're thinking of marginal gains, aren't you?
Well,
I'm just getting all confused.
I didn't really want an argument about it. So how do we kick this off then?
Wow.
How did it feel when? No, why did we start the agency?
What, am I going first or are you?
Well, it wasn't really a conversation.
I mean, let's be honest. It was your industry, wasn't it? You know, you were working for another digital agency, and let's be honest. You got to the point where you were like, oh, I want to do my own thing. I want to set up my own business. And I don't know if at that point in time you thought, I'll convince Sarah to do this, to set it up with me, or whether it was more a kind of realization that you could do something really, unique and basically, better than what you were doing, working for, or what you're used to doing. So 8 years ago, I was struggling to actually think back.
I'm not, because I had to come home after, because if you remember, we'd moved away.
I think I do remember, don't I?
Yeah. So we'd been there a year, hadn't we? And there was a moment at the old agency where I thought, no, we need to do this. And I think it was we're at that age where the girls were 6 and 4.
Sienna was then about to start primary school, wasn't she? So It was at that time where I'd kind of put my career on hold. I was in the insurance industry, and I'd put my career on hold to have the children growing up and everything. And so it was kind of that time where I was either going to go back and do what I was doing previously, or we were going to set up a company and do it ourselves. So it did come at a time, and also allowed me to have the time to be able to spend
cold calling.
Yeah, pretty much cold calling. But with the girls both being at school and having the school hours, all of a sudden it opened up more time for me to be able to focus on what we wanted to do, which. If you think about it, yes, it wasn't a conversation that I saw coming, on the basis that we had moved away from the family and friends, and because we thought that was where the next career was going to go with the company you were with. But a year in, it became pretty apparent that you kind of had your own ideas, and actually, I guess let's be honest here. You had a lot of respect, a lot of time for your ex-boss. Okay, you wanted to do things a little bit differently, and I remember us talking about how we could do it. But actually, you did learn a lot from him in that process, didn't you? And then kind of in that decision-making period, you kind of saw someone that had actually grown a business from startup, created a team, created a good business model. So it kind of started those conversations, didn't it? I think
we were just at the right stage of our life, so weren't we? Because I remember saying this before, that I don't think I could have done it. How old was I? 36 at the time. Yeah. And I don't think I could have done it at 30. I think coming out of the corporate world, I think it was great, the 12 years I spent in corporate world, but I think I needed that time out of corporate world in a real startup, or a scale up as we would call it now, to learn. But there were, I think it's worked. If you think about the first couple of years, the vision was, and I remember saying to you that all we've got to do for the first 2 months was let's get 5 clients, get a decent retainer in, then we'll start running everything. And you were like, yeah, but we've got no clients, and we've got no money.
A mortgage, and we've got bills,
we've got kids.
And,
But it worked, didn't it? No, but I think one of the things we said we were going to talk about is the vision, and that moment where I kind of just knew that there was a better way to run an agency, even though that the agency, every agency runs differently, right? And people have their own ways to do it. But that was that distinction between all of these companies that I was seeing. We have 26 salespeople, and they would come in on a Monday morning with all of these orders saying, I've sold a website, or I've sold a marketing strategy. And then you'd say, brilliant, tell me about the company. I went, well, I don't know, I've just bought a website. And you just think, you just can't do that. I suppose it all kind of pointed to that moment of just saying, like, if we get the strategy right, which you remember all the different names we had for the company, but StrategiQ just felt right. Although, funny now in terms of trying to get people to put it onto an email or spell it correctly. But.
Well, I think we kind of thought we'd be a bit clever, didn't we, with the the IQ, the intelligent marketing, and in our minds it made total sense. But then, like you say, when you're trying to explain to people how to spell it, well, it's just strategic, but swap the Q for the C. Yeah. But it's
a bit of fun now, isn't it?
It's a bit of fun now. Like I say, we do still laugh when people call us
StrategiQ.
StrategiQ, yeah, StrategiQ, which I don't even know how you get strategic IQ.
No. Or when you actually just struggle to get. Anyway, it's done now. We can't change it now. So ups and downs. Then what if we had? What would you say the highlights have been in the last 8 years?
I think being in control of our destiny and kind of, being our own bosses. I mean, I guess at some points there, I felt like you were a bit more my boss.
You remember that
Now
argument?
I feel like I'm definitely your boss.
Can you remember that? I don't fucking work for you.
You can't swear. You can't swear. No, I did. That was the point, though. I said, no, if this is going to work, I can work with you. I can't work for you. And, let's deal with the elephant in the room. We're husband and wife first, 20 years married. Yeah. So, throwing a kind of running a business together into the equation. I mean, that, to be honest, that is one of the questions I get asked a lot, is how do you work together and live together? And
well, I think it goes through phases, or for me it's gone through stages, because in the first 3 years, I would say selfishly, I needed someone that I could trust, certainly on the finances, because you just grabbed all the finances, really, didn't you? And just kind of took away. It wasn't necessarily all the marketing stuff. It was just all the stuff that I'm either not very good at or just didn't have the time to deal with.
Well, you needed to focus on building our client base and building the relationships and managing the I guess the outsourced, the suppliers that we were dealing with at the time, because the early stages we couldn't afford to employ a team straight away. So I had to do everything else that enabled you to do that. So a lot of that was stuff that I hadn't really come across, but kind of.
But then that's where but I think that's where I think it worked. When people ask me the same question, I think I use this analogy when I was employed and you were employed, or when you were looking after the children when they were really young. I'd come home 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night without any brain space to ask you how your day was, or because you're just so wired the whole time when you're building that career. But I think because we were working together, I knew how hard you were working, and you knew how. So there wasn't that kind of resentment would be a strong word, but I think sometimes when you're so career driven at certain points in your life that you're not combined, and I think that's what helped in the first 3 years. And then there was that crossover where we were big enough, where actually it got to a point for a period where we didn't actually even see each other. Like even now, if you think now, how much time do we actually spend? This is probably longest we've spent talking in the last 5 years.
No, it's taken 8 years.
No, but we don't actually. We have to now force time in each other's diary, so we don't clash, or we don't.
Well, that's what I mean. I think the perception is, we work together, therefore we're in each other's pockets, and like you say, we're working on very different parts of the business, and yes, we obviously do come together, and we still have our management meetings, board meetings, and we still come back to the kind of, the vision and the mission and everything we're trying to do as part of the agency. But day to day, we don't actually spend that much time together, do we? So although I think the girls would probably argue that we do still spend too much time talking about business at home.
We've got better at that.
I think we did.
We do. You'd have to be conscious of it though, don't you? Because I think even last week we were sitting there talking about stuff, and I think Sienna said, "Yeah, I get it."
Yeah, Mum, Dad, can you stop talking about work?
So highlights then.
So highlights, yeah. So like I said, being in control of our own destiny, being able to, I mean, let's face it. I was in an industry that I didn't have a passion. When I went into insurance, it wasn't what I kind of really wanted to do. So being able to set up your own company and kind of think, well, we can just make this up as we go along. It's like it's going to be our company. Yeah. So the ups for me were the kind of having that freedom to think we're going to set a business up, we're going to have a plan, we're going to have an aligned vision, because we kind of had from the day one we kind of knew what we wanted to achieve. We're going to do it together. And like you said, we're going to have a kind of joined up way of working where I'm not going to come home from my job and start talking about what's happened at work and you have no interest. We're generally going to be sitting down talking about the thing that we're trying to grow. And, I guess, naturally coming into the role that I'm in now, which is people focused, I think the biggest up for me is being able to employ a team of people that are our agency. Let's face it, our agency is our people. Yeah. And without the people, we wouldn't have the agency we've got. So what bigger positive have you got from being able to grow a team and train and develop and coach and see people fulfill their potential? I wish someone had grabbed me at that, younger age and gave me the opportunity to, shape my career. But it's nice to be able to get to this point knowing that we've...
I think there's two parts to it, isn't there? So if I think about the conversation we were just having about us, what have been the highlights with us, I think we've generally had, because it has been a scale up, we've enjoyed loads of growth, and we've been able to share that kind of success, because most of the time it's just been an amazing journey. There's only been a few times where you think, God, you really have to dig deep. I mean, I guess COVID has kind of taught us a few things in the last, what was going to be a year and a half, 2 years. But even that, I think we came together because of the previous experience we had. So we just thought, right, we're just going to have to roll our sleeves up and go back to the point where you think it's going to get easier. I don't think it ever does, but I think we've got better at being able to run a company. So therefore the shocks and the moments where you're struggling or I'm struggling, I think we can just recognise that now.
So what are your ups then?
I think just having that shared goal, because if we both work hard, we both win. And we've sat down, we've always done this, right? We've said this is where we want to be in 3 years. We've got our lovely new house, the girls. I mean, one of the biggest reasons for resigning a bit from being employed was to have that control. But also, remember saying we want the girls to go to a nice school. And I didn't see a way being employed that I could control that. So that was one of our first goals, wasn't it? Remember the envelope we wrote, or the letter with the envelope, kind of we'll open this when we're whatever. So that ups up. But then I don't think it really hit me in terms of the impact. We did that consultancy at the start of the year with Will.
Yeah.
And having someone externally completely review your business and go, Jesus, look at what you've done. You've employed, in the period of time, let's say we've got 40 people now, but we've employed probably 60 people. And even the strategic alumni, if you like, have gone on to better their careers. Yeah. Even the people that have left us and not on the current journey, they've all gone on and improved or gone on to different things because of the experience we've given them.
I think because we're always looking for improvements and how we can be better. I sometimes think we do give ourselves a hard time. We do sort of dwell on the negatives, don't we? And some of the things, like you say, some of the decisions we've made that haven't been great, but we can't, rather than thinking, but look at all the, and that's like you say, when we had someone come in and kind of look at the business and turn it upside down, and some of that was quite uncomfortable, wasn't it? Some of the stuff was, why are you not doing this, or have you not considered that? And you're thinking, well, we thought we'd got everything sussed, we thought we knew. But actually there were some things that we have now taken on board. But the main thing is that we're doing more right than wrong, which you say that quite a lot.
It's amazing how much your language.
I know. I do literally feel like I'm sounding more. We're morphing.
But then I think the other side to it as well is we forget through the years. Like I remember the first award when we had the best employers. That was a lovely moment.
What, the one when we were at home? And it was
the year before.
Oh yeah.
The year before we won the best because it was the best employers. And I think of all the awards, that first one for that was the kind of first line in the sand that we said, actually, do you know what, we are doing a really good job at developing people. And then I think the Search Awards, we've always seemed to, as you say, be hypercritical of what we do, but we always seem to be punching above our weight a little bit, but then it lands.
We have had a few of those pinch moments, and we were with we've been at certain events and when we think, we're looking around the table thinking, how
the hell are we here?
How are we here? I got remember that one we went to. It was the Sports Aid one, wasn't it? When the national, that ball, wasn't it? Like, how the hell have we got here? Yeah. So I do think sometimes there's a bit of luck.
Yeah? Oh, no. I wouldn't say luck. I don't think we've had luck.
I think also it has helped along the way that you do seem to know every person in Ipswich. You know, it'd be literally every time we go out, it'd be someone that you would say, like, how the hell do you know? Who are they? So I think that's
quite small in the scheme of being world class.
I know. We're working on that.
That does. Relationships help then. I mean, if I think about the early stages as well, like all the people you meet along the way, and even now, you start thinking that some of the connections and some of the clients that we win now, they're from relationships from 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago. So. And what are your downsides then?
It's hard because, when you're talking about all the positives, it's hard to then think there haven't been a huge amount. Like I say, let's face it, the pandemic and the kind of when that first hit home, and we had to think, okay, what is this going to mean to us from an agency point of view? I mean, we generally had to think, we didn't know how it was going to pan out, did we? So I do remember thinking I think we did have conversations around everything we've built up for the last 6.5 years or 7 years. This could all now be, Sarah, we might have to, I remember you saying, Sarah, look, this might be rock bottom. We might have to rebuild. We might have to start again. Positive spin on that is, but we've been here before. We've started from we kind of had to start from scratch. No clients, no income, so it's like, we know what to do here. Okay, yes, the market might have changed and the pandemic's going to hit everybody and some people might choose to pull the marketing budgets and, it might be more of a struggle. But actually, the one thing that we can be sure about is that people are going to need help. I remember you saying that, didn't you? So even though that was a negative, I felt was a negative, it felt like a bit of a punch in the stomach. Because we had a really nice momentum at that point.
I think that was the thing. It
and
really
we were growing. Yeah, we were growing sort of year on year, and I think that in terms of the team and the recruitment and the people that were joining in the business, I felt the level of kind of expertise that we were starting. And like you say, the longer we've been running, the more people have become attracted to wanting to be a part of it. So I felt like that kind of made us wake up and think, hang on a minute, how is this going to now impact the business? How are we going to make sure we keep everyone's jobs? And that was probably for me that probably is the biggest negative, or downside. But then I kind of think, well, look where we are now. 18 months on, actually, that the kind of expression things are never as bad as you think. I think
we've done the hard work though, didn't we? In terms of, I think the brand had kind of landed. And we had enough of a client base, we had enough momentum to keep us going. It's just how we wanted to respond to it. It was just hard.
I think it's us though, isn't it? I mean, let's face it, we are pretty stubborn and pretty driven and ambitious, dropping one of our values there. We were never going to just roll over and think, okay, that's it then. It's been fun for the last 6 years. And that was always going to be us sitting down and thinking, well, how are we going to get through this together in the way that we've addressed everything today. It's been, well, we're a stronger force, the two of us together. That sounds really cheesy, doesn't it?
Did a little bit.
Did, yeah.
Did you rehearse that?
I didn't.
Was that your David Brent?
I didn't actually rehearse that, but sometimes these things come out there. It's not rehearsing. It's just because they're genuine.
I want to get a bit emotional. I'm gonna put on some. I don't know negatives, but I think the tougher times have been when we've lost people we've invested in.
Yeah.
Because I think, there's people along the way where you really want them to come along the journey with you, and for whatever reason, for positives because they've moved on different stages in career, or I think we've only really had one kind of issue.
Yeah, we won't talk about it.
But I do think that that's the hardest bit because we are so invested in people, knowing that you can get people to a certain level, or for whatever reason. I think that's momentum, isn't it? Because you feel like you you're moving in a direction and then you just get that out of the blue. So I think that's tough when you're so invested in it.
Yeah.
But then I think now as we've got bigger and as the directors or the departmental leads, that's their job now, I feel, to develop people and to kind of carry on that mantle. Our roles have changed now, haven't they? Naturally, as you grow up.
I still struggle with the detaching and kind of, I still want to know everybody in the business and be close to people and for people to talk to me and open up and be that kind of, eyes and ears, because I think I think that's what keeps us kind of grounded, because I think, the minute you sort of pass that over and say, okay, well, that's your job, but I'm not, you're absolutely right. Of course, I think there was a point where I was doing all the one-to-ones. It was like 40 one-to-ones. You can't do that. And actually, I did
It's not right. It's not fair because you're not giving everyone that attention, and also different relationships with different managers, aren't there?
Yeah, but I think, just making sure you're close to everybody in the everybody wants to feel as important.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably that is one of the downsides, I guess, as we've grown, is kind of keeping that, keeping close to people and keeping, you've got people that have been with us sort of 4 years, 5 years plus that know us really well, and we know kind of not everything that's going on in their lives, so that'd be a bit weird, but, we are very close to them, and naturally, because they've been with us, on most of the journey, and then you've got people that join the company, I still feel like, I feel like I need to develop that same relationship with the new people joining the company, because that's what part of the reason I think why people.
But that's where I think you found your role now, because I think again, talking about how it's evolved and developed, I think in the last year you've found almost like your calling. Do you know what I mean? You found that. I mean, let's face it, the 3 years running finance before Kirsty really grabbed hold of it. It was just a nightmare.
I can't believe I kept hold of that for so long, knowing that Kirsty.
You didn't want to let it go.
I know, but
Kirsty could do it.
I know, and probably more qualified and better at it than me anyway.
I'm sure she wouldn't like using the word probably.
Well, okay, she definitely is more qualified and capable. But I think for me though, it's because that was what I did. I kind of learned a lot from the start, and I had to sort of train myself. And when you have to learn the hard way, you then kind of, well, I don't want to just let go of this now because I've spent all these years doing that part of the, that focus on the business, and all of a sudden to let it go.
But you still Friday have to have your finance meeting though, right?
Yeah, but it's now a kind of shorter meeting, and it's more a kind of, I have less input. And anyway, I still like to have one-to-ones with Kirsty, because it means that we don't just talk about the finance. We talk about other stuff as well.
So we reflected on 8 years. If we think about where we're going, so where would you, we use that language, if you close your eyes, 3 years, they open up, what does the agency look like for you?
I definitely think we're going to have more people. I think we know that we're going to need more people to be able to grow. I want to work with more interesting clients. I think I want to start having brands that, certainly more aligned to us, but that are that we can, almost choose to work with. Definitely see us in a different location.
Well, as of our meeting today.
Well, yeah. We know now that we've grown out of the space we're here now, and we've got to think now future, haven't we? Next 3 years, we definitely want to invest in the space and the academy, so we can, that's one of the things we have had to address in the last year or so is recruitment, and definitely. Trying to get good candidates and trying to get good people into the agency has been difficult, I think, for all agencies. But creating this hub now where we're going to have our own academy where we're bringing people in and we're going to train them, and we're going to mould them into, how we want them to be in the agency. I think I definitely see 3 years us having that. Well, I see that being well established in the next 3 years and having a nice flow of, graduates or, whatever students coming through. Like I said, I think we're going to have a few more heads in the team. In terms of our involvement in the next 3 years, Can you think that clearly on where you kind of see? I mean, I still see me doing what I'm doing now in the next 3 years. I think there's a lot of work to do in terms of the coaching across the company and making sure that the team are being developed. There's lots there, and until we kind of get the leadership team and get the line managers in a position where they're doing all those and we're getting the best out of people, I think that that's still going to take time. So I was going to start with I work less and cut down my hours, but actually now I'm thinking this all through. Still too much work to do.
Yeah, I think we'll get better at delegating and controlling and being better at our roles and be more planned and giving more responsibility away. As we grow, we're going to have to, then that should coincide with you taking more time anyway, or more time off or being in more control. Mine's really simple because I think we've written I think we've always done this. I start writing the P&L out, that then gives us the number to aim for. Divide that into the number of clients we want to work with. I think we've done so much of this in the last 6 months of where we want the business to be. But I think day to day, I don't see my role changing because if I can get to the point it's choice, right? I would still love to account direct clients and win clients. I think that's my happy place. So I think as the directors that we appointed this year take more control and more autonomy over their departments, and we grow, as you said, from the academy upwards, we bring in some great talent, and we keep nurturing that talent. Location-wise, I think we need London to have more of a presence now, and we continue to develop the Midlands. Midlands is a lovely space. And I think you're right. I want to create a landmark agency here in Suffolk in terms of location, the building, the environment, the culture. I still think we've got 3 years to really, really land that. And when you walk into an agency, and we've had it here, and we do have it here. There's a lovely buzz, there's a lovely pace, there's a lovely energy, there's nice brands. I can visualise what the new offices looks like.
I can visualise what it's going to look like on the P&L as well.
Yeah, well, but you've got to invest. No, I think I know we're moving up the value chain with the clients that we want to target. As you said, we've got a lot of work to do to nurture the talent and develop the people.
All we've got to do is become world class. That's achievable in 3 years, isn't it?
Absolutely. We already are. We've just got to be better.
What, than world class?
Better than we are now towards being world class.
Being world class, yeah.
So no, I think that's. I'm not thinking. I think personal wise, I would is replicating what we've got now, and just watching the girls grow. I just there's nothing else I need personally. I think we've just got 3 years of really.
I know, and you have to be really grounded with kind of, like you say, with what we've achieved to date. It's all, naturally you kind of want more, don't you? You kind of think, well, what more can we, where can we go from here? If you look at lots of companies, they always want to be bigger, they always want to increase turnover, and then all these things, you kind of think, well, actually, like you said, we're doing well as we are. We're happy, and the girls, obviously, we're kind of, like you say, we're now seeing some of the benefits of the girls go, with their schools and that sort of thing. And I think, well, I kind of feel like I want to say we just got to keep doing what we're doing. Yeah,
it is, but it is that though, isn't it? It is that because we've got a plan, we know how to get there. We've written the plan. Doesn't mean to say there's not going to be curveballs, but as you said right at the start of the conversation, it's like it doesn't really matter what curveballs are going to come at us because we'll just deal with that. I think that the big challenge is us growing up as an agency yet again, because remember we were looking at the different stages, us going from, say, 50 people and the recruitment plan looks more like 69 people in 3 years. But we've got to keep the people we've got and we've got to recruit more. That's not going to be easy, but it's not, it's not exponential people growth now, it's about processes and the right people. And then we should see the benefit financially, and then we'll see where we are in 3 years. But that might look like acquisition for the right companies. I think we've got to look at that now, because it's going to take time to get people through the training academy. So we're going to have to still rely on getting more expertise in. But I think with the Midlands and London, that's where Midlands and London I think are pretty critical to the plan, because I think we can attract people to those locations. Controversially, I don't see us, this scaling and homeworking. I still think now, when we're all back in the office, I think, who we are as a business is that really lovely location that's fun to be in, and it's, as you say, it's challenging, it's ambitious, but I think that let's continue to focus on bringing people into the business and growing that way. And what would you say, doing 1%, 51% more right than we do wrong? Is that the same?
No.
It's not, is it?
I just said we do more right than we do wrong.
Yeah, that'll do. By 1%.
I don't know whether 1%. You're thinking of marginal gains, aren't you? I'm just getting all confused.
I didn't really want an argument about it. Cool. I think that's it, isn't it?
I don't know. What more we can talk about? We've talked about why we started. We've talked about the journey. We've talked about where we want to go.
Where we're going. Reflected on the last 8 years. Well done.
And you.